We are picking back up in our Resilient Life study, and appreciate Brother Chad filling in last week while I was out of town. But the Resilient Life, we are on chapter 5, which is faith is greater than fear, and overcoming fear. And fear is one of those things that can be a crippling, have a crippling effect in your life. It can be one of those things that you allow to overcome your daily walk with God, with just your daily walk in this life. And if you're not careful, though, you can let those things overcome you in your thoughts and in your mind and so on and so forth. Last time, we said that in 1 Samuel chapter 13 and verse 19, we said, "Now there was no smith found throughout all the land of Israel, for the Philistines said, lest the Hebrews make them swords or spears, but all the Israelites went down to the Philistines to sharpen every man his share, and his culture, and his axe, and his mattock. So it came to pass in the day of battle that there was neither sword nor spear found in the hand of any of the people that were with Saul and Jonathan. But with Saul and with Jonathan, his son, was there found." So they had all the weapons. And, talk about really an overwhelming fear. All of a sudden, when we had traveled over to Ukraine this beginning of, or the end of last year, when the war began. Was that the beginning of last year, or is it this year? Last year, yeah, or the end of last year. I don't know, last year. Yeah, time is flying. But when we went over to Ukraine, right after the war started, some people were saying, "Hey, you're nuts, you're crazy." But we went over with a purpose to take the gospel over there. But while we were over there, and we also took supplies and all that stuff, and you know the stories, as a humanitarian effort from our church, I want to say that when we were over there, one of the problems that the Ukrainian army had was that they did not have very many weapons to combat what Russia was doing, right? And that battle is still going on, by the way, and it's something that is really a tragedy. Anytime you see one country just invading another country to take its property, to take its resources, that's never a good thing. And but my point is that one of the things that they were requesting even from us was we need more. We need more body armor. We need more this, more that, and because they didn't have enough weapons, and so they were pleading with America. That's kind of the same situation here. All the weapons in the land were in one area and with the army. And we notice in letter A, the gathering of Israel. The Philistine and the Israelite armies gathered on opposite sides of the valley of Elah. And with the valley separating them, this land between the Judean hill country and the Philistine plain, known today as the Gaza Strip. You've heard that? This is exactly what we're talking about, the Gaza Strip. And Israel was on one side, Philistines were on another. And it was kind of the buffer zone between the Philistines and Israel. And it is still that today. That Gaza Strip is something that periodically comes into the news, and that's where a lot of times battle is met. And really the valley of Elah was located in that Shephelah, I think is how you pronounce it, Shephelah, and it's in that country area of Bethlehem, over the coast just north of the Philistine city of Ashdod. And then the south of the Philistine city of Ekron, if the Philistines got past Israel in Elah, they would have a route that led them right into Jerusalem. So this was a key strip of property, still is today, that allows them to be able to go from one area to another. Now, I said all that to say this. When we look at fear, it was one of these things where you had two armies, and in this strip of land is where the battle took place, and this is where they battled everything out. If you were going to go into battle today, one of the things that you would have to take into consideration is, number one, am I going to come out of this, right? Each soldier would need to prepare him or herself, just like they do today, as they go into battle, to make sure that if they don't come home, things are taken care of. One great example in today's life, a long time ago, Amy and I decided to get some life insurance. And now we started that when we didn't have any money, right? I mean, we really didn't have any money. And so we wanted to make sure that we had some life insurance to help take care of the other person or the kids in case something would ever happen. Now, I'm not going to be preaching on life insurance today. Some people have it, some people don't. But I tried to make sure that our family was taken care of, even from earlier on in our marriage, and because I wanted to prepare. Now, each time that I went on a big missions trip, we went to Malawi, we went to Ukraine, and when we did those two in the last couple years, one of the things that I did is I made sure that all my affairs were in order. Now, I wasn't expecting to die, okay? But just in case something did happen, I mean, it's when you're traveling far away, a lot of times, you want to make sure that you've got things in order. And I made sure things are in order at home and things in order at the church and so on and so forth, at work. And we need to make sure that when we are doing God's will, that we got to make sure that we take those things into consideration, because at any time you can go into battle of your own life. I'm sure that over the last couple years, all of us have been in some type of battle in our life. We have struggled with health. We've struggled with maybe finances. We've struggled maybe with a job, marriages, whatever. We've all been in some type of battle, and understand that, we can get fearful of what the outcome of those things. And many times, fear can be that crippling effect that comes over a soldier, it comes over a person. And but we see the gathering of Israel. Now, what would have happened in the battle between the Israel and the Philistines on each side of that Gaza Strip? What would have happened if the soldiers of Israel did not show up? What would have happened? Philistines would have what? Just come on into Jerusalem, right? They would have overtaken Israel, and they would have just come in. And God promised the nation of Israel, God promised those people, but if they had not showed up, part of the problem that we see in life is that fear cripples us to the point where we don't show up. We don't show up. We don't show up to church. We don't show up, to fears that we have in our life. Maybe it's, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank here on the illustration this morning. But my point is, sometimes we don't show up at all, right? But we've got to gather together. Somebody said a long time ago, why is church important? Okay? Now, can we worship God from home? Well, absolutely. Hopefully you do. Hopefully in your life, your daily walk with God, hopefully similar like mine, where maybe you get up and maybe you have a time of prayer. Maybe you have a time of Bible reading. Everybody, their day starts differently from each other. But hopefully you include God in your everyday walk. And, on top of that, sometimes I'll find myself listening to some good Christian music. Sometimes I'll listen to some preaching. Other times, throughout my day, other times I'm just, I'm focused, and somebody might come on my heart, and I might just be praying for that person. I might take a time to just thank God for what He's been doing. And sometimes I'm